Welcome at Change Talks, the podcast where we discuss how to make change work in business and life. And today my guest is Jakub Vetrovec, the change management professional, which is a person who dedicated his whole career to driving change and transformation. Among other assignments, Jakub worked for the consultancy branch of Tata Group in Mumbai, London, and other destinations. And currently, he's leading the transformation initiatives for Schaeffler Group, which is one of the largest family-owned companies in the world, operating from Germany. Jakub is also an eager promoter of change management, so I really look forward to our discussion. So, Jakub, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Victor, and it's great to be here. And also welcome to everyone.
So let's talk about the change.
Change Talks, your passport to exciting changes in your business, career, and life. Change Talks, your podcast when it's time to do things differently.
Jakub, I always ask the first question, my guest, which is, what was the journey that was guiding and leading them towards what they do right now? You are a change professional, which is not a very common profession or a line of the business or career path. So, how come that you became one?
I think it was a big coincidence. Of course, at university, at least at my time, hopefully now it's better, but we didn't have anything, and I studied business. We didn't have any class about change management. But straight after university, I decided I don't want to go to the regular route and start in some consulting business or anything even within Czech Republic. So through student organization, I looked for external or an internship abroad. And by coincidence, really, I ended up in Mumbai and started working as a change consultant for Tata Consultancy Services, which was really, I was not really aware what I was getting into, but I'm so grateful that I actually went through this. Also, personally, I think it's prepared me for quite a way to deal with change, really to jump into a completely different culture, really being visibly different to others, and experience that was a huge step in my life, and I think it changed myself and my perception of the world as well. But first and foremost, I had a great manager who helped me to really study a little bit more about what change management is and experience it firsthand with one of the big clients that we basically spent the whole year with. And that was my first step in, and really, let's say, experience that excited me about this topic. And since then, I have been trying to be part of that profession.
I really observe here some behavior, some pattern, because whenever I'm asking this question to change management professionals, they always are kind of like, self-made men or self-made women. Because as you rightly said, at the universities, at the schools, there are like no classes dedicated to change management, which is kind of weird, isn't it? Because the change is a critical element for the business success. Yet, it's widely ignored by the universities. There are all the classes about microeconomy and macroeconomy and whatever marketing stuff and accounting stuff, all the different branches of the business, but the critical element, the change, is kind of omitted. So when you start to do that in a real life, you actually have to develop that kind of skill set just by your own. So you were lucky, you said you had a good mentor that guided you to build this kind of skill set, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if I was at the age of 24, 25 aware how big impact he made to me. But I think, yeah, it was great. I was really lucky that the whole project and the whole team was very well set. I really hope that now the universities, and I think I have some at least signs into that universities are looking into it more. But yeah, 10 years, 15 years ago. I don't think, at least in our region, it was completely strange topic for education. So yeah, and I think that's a debt we have, at least in this region, that it's hard now to find change managers that would be kind of born and raised in change management. As you said, someone who came across from different fields, from project management or from HR, or yeah, as someone like me that just stepped out completely from this environment and found their own way. So this is something that also I'm passionate about, to give back a little bit and bring the community together, because I think it's a, again, as you said, critical um, element that we will see in the companies in the coming future. Everyone talks about continuous change, but we don't have that capabilities in organizations as yet.
So true. One thing is what you put into the PowerPoint, and the other thing is what's the reality of the day. Now, you mentioned the project management. What's your view on the difference or the similarities, change management and the project management? Because very often they are confused. So, what's your take?
I think they are somewhat twins. I don't think you can succeed in transformation with just one of them. I think they are really integrated and integral for any transformation or any effort that you want to do in the organization, if you want to implement anything or change. Um, Obviously, project management is very well established. If you ask anyone in an organization, okay, I need a project management or a project manager, we are going through some methodology, waterfall, agile. Most of people, at least in corporate life and corporate positions, will know what you are talking about. Change management is still the kind of small, shy sibling in the corner, trying to make their way into the spotlight, into the project team meetings, into project boards, and really have the almost equal voice. So I think that's something that I would call we are still project dominant logic and not change dominant logic, at least in some companies. I think in the past I managed to get in one company to a position where I felt like the change manager is the one in the lead, at least in defining what's going to happen, and project manager is that support and the delivery of that change. And I think the dynamic changed quite a bit for the benefit of the organization. But I think change management still struggles to make its way in, and sometimes I think also mostly in the past years working internally as an internal change manager, you really need to sell change management almost every single day, and it's been seen as additional cost to the project, and you need to build your additional business case to the business case of the project to even stay afloat and have some budget to actually execute the change. So I think there is a lot of work that we have to promote change management in general in organizations, and at least equalize that relationship between project management and change management.
Yeah. So interesting that you have the same kind of observation from the real life as I do. Yeah? That project management is very well known and well developed in the organizations, but the understanding that the real change is more than just a project. Because I say that every project is a change, but not every change is a project.
Yeah.
And that usually helps, the leaders, the managers to distinguish the difference, to understand that there are certain changes or transformations in the organization where applying the project methodology, the project toolbox is not the right approach to use. So I will go a little bit backtrack, to the discussion about your career, and that you started with like almost zero awareness of change management, and you had a good mentor. Now, I'm curious to hear like what for you were the biggest like ahas at the very beginning, yeah, the biggest realizations about change management.
I think generally, and it continues to be part of it, is change management. Of course, it has so many layers. Usually, we end up with the one that is on the level of single project. But there's definitely more, and I'm continuously being surprised how many layers there are and how differently you can look at it. But I think what I observe a lot, and I realized also in the beginning that change manager is usually called for then when the organization realizes that I would say quote unquote there is something wrong with the people because they don't want to use the system and they don't adhere to the rules and that's where kind of as an afterthought the change manager is brought in usually at the end of the project and said, okay, fix the people because we have a great product and they are somehow not using it. And I think soon after, if you are in the role longer and in the conversation with the organization, you start working your way through to the management layer and to the leadership styles that are being used and the way how change generally is approached when it's designed, and how you can support the organization to build that capability and really work with the managers rather than with the staff, because the staff, I think no one comes to work to do a bad job, and people are usually capable of learning, but they need to have the right environment and support and leadership to actually make it happen, to understand why they need to change and what does it mean for them, and that really needs significant amount of consideration and flexibility on the management itself and also on the project team. So I think that's one of the big things that I learned since the beginning, that there is more, and when we are dealing with people, it's not just complicated, it's a really complex situation that you need to deal with.
Talking about people and let's say company cultures, you have experience from multiple companies, and not only from multiple companies, but also from very different regions. You worked in India, in UK, now for German company. You have also experience from the Czech market. So, do you see any cultural differences when it comes to change management?
I think so. I think generally, I think it goes even to culture itself within the country and within the economy or the business sphere of each of the regions. And I think there is a huge difference, and for me, a divide in English-speaking countries, where for this case, I would even include India. Obviously, it's very much influenced by the English management methods topics, and I think their change management has been part, at least for the last 20 years, and it's been evolving and developing. And I think the regions like German and Czech, which I again take as one, almost, right? Czech Republic, most of our export, most of our business is towards Germany. So we learn from German side, and our, I would say, business style is quite close. And there is a huge depth again in building that culture. Also having the senior management and the top management experience is what change management actually is. We can read about it. You can look at pictures, slides, as you said. Yeah, I met a very good, very big leader in kind of global business services and shared services, and he said change management is like a giraffe. You can read about it a lot, but until you see it live, you only then you understand, oh, this is actually it. And we don't have that many top managers, to be honest, to really being, they might have made many decisions about changes. They went through personally changes, but really to taking on the role to lead change for others and explain and really guide the organization through. It's kind of self-made and somehow do-it-yourself approach rather than some conceptual way that change management brings now in. So I think that's a huge challenge regionally and for the economy that we are in now, to bring that skill and capability into also the top layers of the organizations and then throughout. So I think that's for me the biggest divide between people that I talk to in Australia, in UK, in US, and then people I talk to in Czech and Germany.
What do you think is causing this kind of difference? Is it like, some history, or what do you think is behind that?
I think hard to say. I would want to go, and I hope we will do some more research with maybe we will come across an organization that I'm involved, Change Management Institute. So I would like to kind of do more research there. But from the informal conversations I am having and from my observations, I think we are still, at least in our region, driven by production and product. And when I was in London, for example, it's really much about service. And when you start thinking more about service, you think about people, customers, more than product and engineering and precision. So it's quite a big mindset and cultural shift generally that also, I guess, our region will need to go soon through when we see where we are economically heading and what was the perception, right? We have now also the papers from EU on how EU needs to change, and I think that's all is part of it. It's not like something that you can pinpoint. It's the whole environment that is involved in this.
That's quite an interesting insight. I really haven't thought about it, from this angle that the more European focus on onto production, manufacturing, engineering can have an impact on how we then approach and how we deal with the change. Now, that's from the, let's say, leadership or management point of view. Okay, people who are in the lead, who are in the know. Did you also notice any kind of difference how people accept change, generally speaking, than the employees, the regular people, if they are more change resistant in some cultures than in other cultures?
That's hard to say. I haven't actually worked properly in Czech organization. Obviously, now I'm part of our organization that sits here in Prague. But I think it goes back to culture, how open we are to topics, how historically we have been grown. I think in Czech we have a good cultural topic to kind of work underground and against the system as we know it. So I think that definitely plays a part, to find the shortcuts, to find the way to stay in your own way. So I think that will play a role. But again, that would need a good social logical research, I think. But I guess it goes back to cultures and how we are used to things and how much. And again, I will go to the engineering, how much we can deviate from the standards and how willing we are to fail.
Okay, so that's the Czech mindset. What about the German mindset? Because the Germans are known for precision, for order. Yeah. Would you say that makes them more change resistant because they want to stick to the process book to what is coded as the way to do things?
Yeah, I think I can't take it from my experience because that's a single organization. But talking to others that I have been working with as external agencies and consultancies that really helped me a lot, and talking informally with them, I think there is that fear of stepping out and making a mistake is much more when you are focused on precision and kind of following rules, which I know it's generalization, but kind of a lot of us associate with Germany and their way of thinking. So I would say that has impact, and it makes us generally, I think, Germany, Czech, a bit less opened to new topics rather than resistant. I think we are not really the explorers of the world as island nation like UK, which is kind of in their DNA more than ours. So I think that's it goes back to our history and the way how we went through the past. It has kind of impact on our current approach to change as well.
Yeah. So when we see this kind of like, cultural differences, do you also see any differences in the ways how you can apply your change management toolbox when it comes to different companies? Because you were with Tata Consulting, which was more like, on the IT services. Now you are with Scheffler Group. So very kind of different types of business. So is your change management toolbox also changing, or are you able to use the very similar tools, tips, and tricks how to move the change?
I think it hasn't changed much, or I think the toolbox is evolving as much as I try to be involved with the leaders or the thought leadership in change management, because I think change management is generally going through quite a transformation itself in how we approach it. New, I would say, insights are coming from neuroscience, and there is so vast input of information and the ways how we can change. So I think over the almost 10 years, the tools changed as well. But in the end, also including my other, I think, significant experience in company called Network Homes, where I spent quite a few years and also grew through the different levels of change management. I think actually the companies are same whether you sell insurance, sell houses or cars or car parts or cupcakes. I don't know. A lot of things are similar and same. And first and foremost, you still deal with people, and they have their fears, they have their ambitions that you usually touch with change, and you need to deal with them. So no person is the same, but actually some I would say psychology basics and principles are there. So I don't think it very differs. It's more the company culture that you need to obviously take into consideration. But the general transformational processes are similar, I would say.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you say that, because very often I see the CEOs, when they are looking for change managers, that they are looking for an expert from the same kind of industry. So, okay, so we are automotive. So we are looking for a person who's been doing some changes and transformations in automotive, because we are automotive. And they are reluctant to take on board somebody with experience from, I don't know what, aviation or services or insurance, whatever you say. Now, what is very true actually is that the change toolbox, the how to make the change work, is very similar. It's basically independent on the industry, on the sector, because you are dealing with the very similar set of, let's say, problems or issues that you need to resolve. So that's what you have in your toolbox. Of course, the toolbox is evolving over the years, but it's transferable from one industry to another industry. So I'm really happy that you mentioned that, because if we have listeners who are CEOs or business owners who are considering to hire some change manager, just be open to that, because actually when you hire a person from a different industry, it can actually help you out, because you may get a fresh view on what you actually do in your business, in your industry. So don't be afraid, don't be shy. So very happy that you actually confirmed that, and you are not the only one, of course. I think that this is kind of like the trouble or the challenge of the profession, right? Of the change managers, that these people have like various positions on their CV. They may not have always like the same industry as the client is looking for. Now, this is not really a problem. Rather, I see it as a benefit that the client can get.
Yeah. And I think two things. Maybe one is I see now the tendency, because now I'm positioned more in the digital transformation team within our division, sitting here in Europe. So we tend to find change managers who have experience with that type of change. So are you doing S/4HANA transformation? You want the change manager with S/4. Or so we are also, I think, within the rank of digital transformation, you try to go with the tools as well, which I see some benefits, but also I think still, we are dealing with people. So if someone has experience with one system, and even more one provider of a system, not even ERP, right? You go almost by the provider. It might have some benefits, but I would not. I'm trying not to be as manager as well that restrictive in when I search for someone. I actually intentionally pick people from completely different backgrounds and environments to make the team as diverse as possible.
Mm.
And then I had second thought, which I dropped a little bit. Yeah, also because I think on me personally, I'm known for not really caring about cars. So then talking to my colleagues who are in product and they are really passionate about cars and showing me some car parts, for me it's a piece of metal, but I really focus on the people, and I think that's my role and that's the profession, and it's not the business itself. It's really the organization and the people within the organization, and that doesn't change whether you are in different industry or not.
Yeah. So working with people, actually, you offered me a nice bridge, to my next question, which is as a change manager, when you come to the organization, you are usually labeled as that change guy, right? Which means that people are looking at you usually with the mixture of fear and expectations, kind of. Yeah, like, okay, this is the guy who's going to tell us, how to do the things differently. We know better, this kind of stuff. So, what's your experience? How well are change managers accepted in the organization? And what are your tips and tricks, how to gain trust and start, working with the people?
I would probably start first with the labels. I think I'm usually the fluffy guy because I talk about people and sometimes even emotions, which as well in our geographical location is something weird and not really yet welcomed. And then I'm the guy that does the comms and training. Yeah, that comes at the end of the project and just create some content and make it happen. So it depends who you deal with and how long you are in the organization. I think it takes time to people to really see the value in change management. You need to have first successes and really showing that. And I think that's for me the most. What first drives me and what I see important is really to support the organization, support the people, and sometimes it's just listening. Whether it's a leader or an employee, if you actually actively listen, you have some empathy and you deal with their problem, which I think we are as change managers. We usually stay at the project at the last ones there, and people come to us with their problems. I think that makes a huge difference, and I think that's what drives me when I see it, that people feel a bit more comfortable and with a more ease when they go through the change. And and they kind of need to learn new ways of working. So I think the perception in the beginning, first people don't really know what it means, what you do. So you need to kind of validate your existence a number of times. But over time, I think through building the network of people you worked with, they become your biggest advocate. And it's great to hear it back when someone comes and say, "Oh, hey, there is a project happening and there is no change manager. Why is that? Why are you guys not working on that?" Yeah, so I think that's I think best reward that you can get when you are, I guess, internally working in change. So I guess there is different ways how people approach change manager when they see them for the first time. We are a little bit still aliens that people need to first explore what you do and how you approach things.
Yeah. I think it's also connected with the fact that, change manager profession or position is not that known or not that frequent. So when people meet you for the first time, they don't know what to expect. Yeah. If you say, okay, I'm an HR manager, everybody kind of knows what the hell that means, right? If you say you are a product manager, also, there is understanding, general understanding what that means. Change manager, a little bit like, more fuzzy. Yeah? But you also mentioned very important tactic or, a tool from the change management toolbox, which is the active listening. That's very valuable tool actually, because in my experience, when you start listening to people, really actively listening, they suddenly start to see you as an ally. So not somebody who's gonna bring some disruptive change or so, because people usually are also not very content with the current situation, whatever it is. Yeah. And then if you are actively listening and you are applying, these learnings in the projects, in the activities that you are doing, they realize that actually when they tell you the truth, you can help them to change, the company, the processes, the culture for the better. And then they start really to see the huge value that you can give them personally and to their teams. So that's
And
the way how to really overcome the initial kind of doubts and get rid of any labels that you don't want to have.
you mentioned something very important, which is the consequence of talking to you. So if you manage, and I think that's the tough part, and it's really about your ability also to work with the project team. At least at some point, they need to see that it changed what they told you had happened, or you implemented, or you kind of steered the project towards that direction. So there needs to be something giving back, and they need to see that actually it makes sense to talk to you. If they only talk to you and you are compassionate and you say yes, you are right, but nothing happens, then they don't build the trust that you need, right? It needs to come that you actually are also able to deliver on that conversation, and they feel that they are actually truly heard and listened to, and what they said made an impact. So I think without that, you are really just a psychologist or psychotherapist internal, and they can just come to you and pour their hearts out. But that's not really our aim, right? We want that project, that process, whatever we are changing, to bring the most value in the end to the organization and the people together. So I think that's a critical to actually also manage back towards the project, to influence whether it's scope or it's just minor things, but actually they make somewhat sense and reason for the people that will actually work with that solution or with that product of the project.
And what you do is that you link the trust with the credibility, because trust is when they openly share their ideas, fears, whatever, and they are not afraid that you are gonna instantly, tell that, to their boss, manager, and use it against them. So that's trust. The second thing, as you said, I call it like credibility. So that what you take as an input and you use it to really make an action. Yeah. So not just to be, okay, I'm here, come and just cry on my shoulder. I will pet you and you will feel good, but then nothing happens. Now you must accompany that with the credibility. So doing the things, and that's how you make them to feel on the same boat, basically. Now, dealing with people in this like change world and so on, with top managers, what you think is the current like level of understanding of change, of importance of dedicated change management among the senior executives?
I think I will draw from conversation I had also on one panel discussion around change management. It's still a challenge. I think it's getting better, but again, one of the comments I kind of took to my heart. Change management is still afterthought, and it's not integrated an integral part of transformation. So one of the challenges as well, if organization already realizes they need change, they deploy it only for certain projects, but they don't keep core change team that stays also with the organization. I think having external support is useful, but having someone who understands and works with the people on the long term is also critical. Also knowing, coming almost to the very beginning, there is a constant change. Everyone talks about constant change, even that how much change is now pushed on organizations, right? Even big organizations like ours is not our own boss that we can say, oh, we take this and we will park AI for 5 years because we don't need it. You have to go on board with so many things that come from outside. So for me, it makes sense to have an internal capacity and capability to deal with change and bringing more also towards every manager in your organization, that skill. And I don't think that's still on the board levels on many companies around us. There, I think first now we are in the moment that change management is also a buzzword. It's buzzing all around. A lot of people like to talk about it. Not many know what it is, and even fewer know how to bring it to the organization. And I think that's the conversations we need to have with the top managers across many companies, and hopefully some of them are listening us, and or we will find different ways to approach them. But I think it's for survival for organizations. I think that's one of the key skills for the future to have it maybe as a professionals, but not just professionals, also as a general capability and general understanding on all levels of your management, how to deal with change personally and also for your teams and members of your staff.
Yeah, that's very interesting, a little bit controversial topic. The positioning of change management in the organization, because you described like the two models, two approaches. One is to have some kind of hub within the organization, which is kind of similar thinking as the project management. Okay, so very, very often you have the project office within the organization. So when you have different projects, you have a bunch, of project managers who are in this project office. They, manage the portfolio of the projects, and because they, the project management toolbox is again, very transferable. They can, deal with different activities in the organization. So one approach could be, okay, let's take this kind of tactics and establish a hub in the organization that will deal with the change in a similar fashion as we deal with projects. Then the other approach is saying, but change is kind of different. It's not a project. No, not all changes are projects. So why to have a hub that's not really a job for a single person or 2 or 3 people in the organization to push the change. It should be something that is for the whole board, for the whole for all the managers in the organization. I have to say that I'm actually a proponent of the second option, because really the first option could make sense for certain changes. Yeah, if you do some big reorganization, for example, okay, and you treat it a little bit like as a project, but you understand that it's more than just a project. But organization should really strive to develop the change management capability across the board, because change is continuous. You said that. You will have to deal with change. You have to change your business on the constant level. So it's not a smart idea to say, okay, we have executive managers who are kind of running the operational business, and then when we need to change something, then we will get something, someone that will do the magic. Can work, but in the long term run, I think the organization should try to find a way how to have this kind of skill set spread in the organization. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think it's more maybe one-step approach. And if you don't have that capability in the organization, you build something which I think now is more and more called as change management office, so similarity to project management office. So you bring that to have at least the capability. And over time, I think the goal of every change manager should be that you become disposable, that you are not needed in the organization because it has naturally enough change capability within its all lines of its management and organization and culture and so on. So I think that's should be ultimate goal of everyone who is kind of change management team lead like I am. In, I don't know, 5 years, we don't need my team, hopefully. That would
Yeah.
be the best achievement I think we could do. But in the meantime, and for the big topics, when you really need to have dedicated capacity, it's really to build some level of organization that retains also the knowledge from the past changes and can bring some best practice and really is tuned to the culture. So I think it's a mix that we need to achieve. And when you combine PMO and CMO, you have transformation management office, and you might have them also in one big team, and you blend them together, which might be another approach that I think is becoming something that many organizations use. And again, that's about the layering, right? As you mentioned, project portfolio management. We have also change portfolio management. There is not much known about it. It starts coming to us from Australia. And I would go back to Change Management Institute. That's one of the first trainings that we actually created and is being now launched across the world because there was visible need for someone to look at not single changes in the organization, but combine them together and manage them, actively manage the changes that are happening and compare, because there is certain capacity to deal with change in the human brain and an organization as well. So change management is growing as well in these levels and layers. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you that in the end we shouldn't be needed because everyone in the organization is capable of handling change, designing it, explaining it, and guiding others through the change.
Yeah. So that's, I think, nicely summarized actually the mission that we as a change managers, should have for us, which is to help companies to create this skill set within the organization. Now that can be a 2-step or 3-step process, starting with some dedicated expertise in the organization, and then to move from that corner and expand through the whole organization. You mentioned the Change Management Institute, and I said at the very beginning that you are a big proponent of change management. So can you explain, what it is, and what's the mission, what's the idea behind that?
Yeah, so I think it goes also all the way back with my personal journey. So I think 7 years ago, shortly after I came to UK, I discovered Change Management Institute and joined it as a member. So Change Management Institute is really an organization, member for member, so non-profit, and we really focus on developing our members and obviously the wider community to build their credibility, the capabilities, and also connections. So we really try to bring people together that are either change professionals or have to work with change in some way, to have like-minded people together, bringing specialists, some, for example, like you, or someone who has done some research, or they have some case studies from their organizations to really enrich the skills, the knowledge of our members, and really start building some standards towards change management in organizations and generally in the countries. So we are kind of building that awareness in change management and helping people who are quite often dotted in different organizations, and it can be quite lonely position when you try bottom up to bring change management into life. So we are there to help each other. Really, it's a small but growing community, at least in Czech. So just going to our journey, since I was in the UK, I really used Change Management Institute to help me to realize what all out there, what are the methodologies, what are different frameworks, approaches, tools, and templates that I could use in my organization, because I was also growing as a change manager to managerial positions, and I wanted to really my team to adopt the best way to deliver change. So it really helped me, and I took a lot from there. And then I moved back to Czech, and I felt like it would be great to start that here as well, and bring some of that also global perspective to Czech and Slovakia. So then I was for a while just thinking about it, but fortunately I met Michala Friedmanova and Gabriela Dostalova, which you might know. They are involved in PMI and Projekťáci community. So they already started also working on something for change managers in terms of masterclass and really sharing that skills. So we came together and decided we will give it a try, and we started really building our chapter, also with the help of some other colleagues, Eliška Přichystalova and Iva Svobodova. So now we are kind of 5 of us, and I'm really happy that since last couple of months we are officially the first country chapter of Change Management Institute outside of the English-speaking world. So after Australia, UK, Canada, US, Ireland, we are one of the first in 10 years that have been established, and we start slowly growing our presence here in Czech and supporting our members and the community to really build change management. And obviously our challenges are a little bit different, as I mentioned. The comparison with Australia or UK, there if you are a change manager, people are most likely knowing what you do or have at least some picture. And that's for me the interesting part, where when I discuss it with colleagues in Australia, or we see the events that are happening in Australia, you can see the difference. And Change Management Institute started there 20 years ago, so you can imagine we have that 20 years probably of work that we need to make up. So that's kind of what drives us really, and another experience for me really to be part of team and lead the team of people who are really together drawn by a common cause. We are not paid, we don't get any money, we are just volunteers as members that are preparing and mostly focusing on creating events where people can meet or together or with some experts from the different industries, but with change management background. So that's in a nutshell where we are right now. And obviously anyone is welcome to join us for some events. Most of them are for free still, but we have done some membership only events that we are having for our members to again grow our credibility, capability, and connections.
That's a cool mission that you have ahead of you. Especially as you said, the profession of change manager is often very lonely. Um, if you are in the organization in charge of the change, uh, you don't have that many peers that are doing the same stuff, right? So to have some sort of community of likewise people where you can get some help, support, that's really cool. Now, I'm curious to know, what are usually the typical, problems or challenges that the people are bringing, to the community? What topics are they looking, for help with?
Yeah, I think at least in Czech, and we realized that after first events that we are really at the beginning. So for us, it's really to first people are interested in change, and their organization might be as well, but none of them know how to start, where to start, and what actually change can do. So we are going a little bit back, few steps to compare to other chapters, and we really want to focus on what change management is, what are the components, what can you focus on, and also just helping our members to understand how to start in their organization. So some of the members are from bigger organization or smaller. All of them are kind of discussing, okay, we need change. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they are in this very early stage. Some of them come from project management, from HR. So it's really the very basics that I guess you and I, as change professionals, don't deal anymore because you have some framework in your head or at least approach, whether it's lean change or it's process Kotter. You have tool set that you just draw from, and suddenly we are discussing with someone who is in project management but understands that the change is needed, and they need to help. Where can they show the value of change management and so on? So we go really basics, tools, and also giving the space just to ask a question and get the answer from someone who is dealing with similar thing. Sometimes the crying on the shoulder is enough. We also need like therapists and psychotherapists. They have their own therapists. I think change manager needs its own change manager to just discuss and just let out maybe the frustration at time. Or just get general advice.
Yeah. So it seems that you have quite, a lengthy journey ahead of you, starting with the very basics. But it actually makes sense, as we discussed at the very beginning, that the education around change management is still not existent, even at the universities. Yeah. They may have just maybe, one lesson, one class, about that. And also, what I realized that, when there is some kind of teaching at the universities, it's usually coming from these old books. Yeah. If you take, Kotler, Eight Steps to Change, in good concept, but it's quite old actually. Yeah. It's coming from the days when there was a lot of time actually to make changes and process the things, etc., etc. In today's world, it's not working anymore, or not in the full set. So you have to cherry pick the elements that make sense. But it's good to have somebody who is experienced and who can guide you, can explain you, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, and help to develop this kind of skill set and more and more professionals.
Yeah.
So it's really good good initiative, actually. Yeah. So where people can find you, get some more information, join you?
So generally, I think LinkedIn. So we have our Change Management Institute CZ and SK on LinkedIn, or there is a global community of Change Management Institute, or we have our websites, that is changemanagementinstitute.com, that you can find us. Or just personally me I think on all our team is quite active on LinkedIn. So I think that's the best way. And obviously we are posting our events on LinkedIn. So I think that's the best channel to find us.
So I think I will put some of these links to the description of the episode. So if you are a change manager or person who is interested in change, you may go there and join the community of likewise people. So I think that's actually maybe a good conclusion for our episode today. So Jakub, thank you so much for coming to the show and having a very interesting discussion. For me, it's always very refreshing to talk, to people who are in the same line of business, who have actually the same observations and share the same passion. So thank you again for being the guest on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation.
Okay, so guys, if you like the Change Talks podcast, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating, because that's the way how we can get the content to more people who are just like you, interested in a change. So have a great day. Until next time, and make the change work.